This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
Homeland Stupidity.
HomelandStupidity.us.
Dave Ridley here, signing in for RidleyReport.com. It's March 17th, 2008. Once again, in watching the headlines, America gets it backwards. Bass Ackwards. The public seems to question Barack Obama's willingness to associate with the fiery black nationalist Reverend Jeremiah Wright. That is backwards. Instead, shouldn't the public be questioning why Reverend Wright is associating with undesirables like Obama? Reverend Wright is not guilty of being a U.S. Senator. He's not guilty of voting to extend the Patriot Act. Reverend Wright is not guilty of voting to fund the Iraq War. Obama is guilty of all those things. Why, then, is there no outcry demanding that Reverend Wright disassociate himself with Senator Obama? Reverend Wright, unless I'm missing something, does not use taxpayer dollars to fund most of his activities. Barack Obama, on the other hand, uses taxpayer dollars to fund all of his Senate activities, or a portion of them. He also uses taxpayer dollars to fund part of his presidential campaign activities. This is stolen money. Perhaps that takes the form mostly of Secret Service expenditures, but he gets a lot of taxpayer dollars, including it's a $100,000 or $200,000 salary that a U.S. Senator gets, all on the backs of the working man. If Reverend Wright is guilty of being a demagogue, and certainly he said some crazy things, at least he's paying for it himself, or he's having it funded through persuasion, as opposed to the gun of the government tax dollar. Wright is not forcing you, unless I'm missing something, he's not forcing you to pay for what he's saying. Obama is. Oh, and while we're playing the guilt by association game, why are we not blaming Senator Obama for associating with this seedy character over here? It's controversial to be associated with some guy that makes crazy comments, but it's not so controversial to be associated with a guy who tortures people and sends you the bill? A guy who funds virtually all his activities by force? How much evil has the Reverend Wright committed compared to this man? Compared to either of these men, Obama and Bush? What has Reverend Wright done to make us more like the Soviet Union? What has he done to make us more like Nazi Germany? Compared to these two thugs, has he been supportive of victimless crime laws like these two thugs? Is he a drug warrior like these two thugs? If so, is he guilty of forcing his views on others or merely using persuasion? So let's keep Mr. Wright or Reverend Wright in perspective and leave him alone while getting bums like Obama out of office and into pews or onto talk shows where they can begin getting their point across with their own money and stop voting to take away our freedoms. Oh, and yes, in case you're wondering, I do have to admit my favorite candidate, Dr. Ron Paul, does accept his congressional pay, but at least he refuses to take his congressional pension. And I believe a congressman's pay is lower than that of a senator. So maybe you can question me for associating with Dr. Paul under these premises, but that is the kind of problem I would like to have. People questioning me and people questioning everybody for associating with politicians. So I'll start by saying, Reverend Wright, please disassociate yourself with this seedy character and continue your interesting work from the pulpit, which I do enjoy watching. This is Dave Ridley signing out for Ridley Bass Ackwards Report. Hey,
this is Glenn Jacobs. In Homeland Stupidity, if you want to get the news of the day and the best opinions, Homeland Stupidity is where you need to be. It's not stupid.